Hey everyone, my name is Anne and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to be showing you guys how to crochet this braided cable stitch sweater. I'll be making a small here, but sizes X small to 3X large are included in this video and also in the written pattern that I have linked down below. But here are all the supplies you're going to be needing for this project. So getting us started on this pattern, we're going to begin with our first front panel, and these front and back panels will be exactly the same. So to begin on this, I have my 5.5mm hook, and this is my category 4 yarn. We're going to make a slip knot, and you can do this any way you would like, just like this. And after that slip knot, we're going to begin with a chain of 37. And to work a chain, all you want to do is just yarn over with your hook and then just pull through. Doing this again, just yarn over with your hook and pull through. And then now just repeat this until you have 57 chains in total. So I have made it back here with my chain of 57. Now beginning on row 1, we're going to be working single crochets into each chain all the way across. To work a single crochet, I'm first going to skip this first chain and insert our hook into the second chain. And then we're just going to yarn over. Then just yarn over and pull through both of those loops. Doing this again, I'm just going to insert my hook into that next chain, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops. Then now just repeat working these single crochets into each chain all the way across your row, and then I'll just see you guys back once I reach the end. And so I just finished up working these single crochets all the way down my chain, as you guys can see. And now once you reach the very end of your row, we're just going to chain 1 and turn our work. And that chain 1 does not count as a stitch for the rest of the pattern. Now just moving on to row 2, we're going to skip our first turning chain and inserting our hook into this first stitch. We're just going to single crochet into each stitch all the way down our row. Just like this, and then now I'm just going to single crochet all the way down, and I'll see you guys back once I have reached the end. And once you've finished working all the way down with our second row of single crochets, we're just going to chain 1 and turn our work as you normally would. Now moving on to row 3, we're now going to begin on working our cables. So beginning on row 3 into this first stitch, we are just going to work 13 double crochets to start off this row. So I'll just go ahead and work that up. Now that you have worked up these 13 single crochets, into the next stitch we are now going to work 6 front post double crochets. To work a front post double crochet, we're just going to yarn over with our hook. Now you just want to insert your hook behind this first post, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, and then yarn over, pull through 2 loops. Now this is our first front post double crochet. And now we just have 5 more to work. Doing this again, I'm going to yarn over, insert our hook into that next post, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, and that's 2 posts, yarn over, insert a hook behind that post, pull through, 2, and then 2. I have 3 more remaining, so this is going to be 4, 5, and then here is 6, and here are 6 front post double crochets. Now into the next 2 stitches, we will work 2 single crochets, so this is going to be that next stitch. I'm just going to work 1, and then 2 single crochets, just like this. From here, we're just going to repeat this pattern, working 6 front post double crochets, 2 single crochets, 6 front post double crochets, and then 2 single crochets, all the way down our row until you have 11 stitches at the end remaining. I'm going to repeat this pattern one more time with you guys. So I'm just going to yarn over, and then into this next post, I'll work 6 front post double crochets just like we did. This is going to be 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 6. There we go. Then now just work 2 single crochets. That is what it looks like. And again, I'm just going to repeat doing 2 single crochets and 6 front post double crochets all the way down my row until 11 stitches remain at the end. Once you have finished working your cable stitches coming all the way down your row until you have 11 at the end, we're now just going to work single crochets until the end of our row. And then just chain 1 and turn your work. Now just moving on to row 4, this is a really easy row. Just beginning into this first stitch, we are just going to work single crochets into each stitch all the way down our row until the end. We're not going to do any kind of cabling, just working regular single crochets until the end of your row. And so I'll quickly work that up and then I'll see you guys back once I reach the end. So I just finished working that regular single crochet row all the way down my work. Then I just went ahead and chained and turned. Now moving on to row 5, we're going to be doing another cable stitch row. So now beginning on row 5 into this first stitch, we will first work 13 single crochets across. After you've worked these 13 single crochets, we're now going to begin on working these posts. So this time we are going to skip these first 2 posts and insert our hook into this third post. We'll work a front post treble crochet. To work a front post treble crochet, you just want to yarn over twice, then just insert your hook into that third post, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, and then yarn over, pull through 2. We'll also work another front post double crochet and a front post treble crochet into the next post as well. So just yarn over twice, insert your hook, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, then yarn over, pull through 2. So now we're going to go back into these 2 skipped posts, and from behind we'll work 2 front post treble crochets. To show you what that's going to look like, so I'm first just going to yarn over twice, and then now I'm just going to lift my work down, and then now grabbing this first skipped post, I will work behind, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, pull through 2, then pull through 2. So that is that first skipped post. Now we're going to do it into the second skipped post as well. So I'm going to yarn over twice, go back in my work, pull through 2, 2, and then 2. So you should have made this really nice crisscross pattern. Now into the next 2 posts, we'll just work 2 regular front post double crochets. So I'm just going to work a double crochet, front post double crochet into these last 2 posts. And that is going to be our first row of cabling. From here, just work 2 single crochets. And so now you just want to repeat this pattern with our cabling and our 2 single crochets all the way down until you have 11 stitches at the end of your row remaining. But I'll show you guys how to do this one more time. So I'm going to skip these first 2 posts, and into the next 2 posts, I'll work 2 treble crochets. So this is my first treble crochet. And then also into the next post as well. All right. Then now that we have skipped 2 posts, we're now going to front post treble crochet into these 2 skipped ones. So I'm just going to yarn over twice. I'm going to pull my work down and then treble crochet right behind our work. And that is our first treble crochet. And now I'm going to do that again into the next one as well. There we go. Then after you've made this really cute twist, we're just going to front post double crochet into the next 2. Very easy. And then that is our cabling. So now just single crochet twice and then just repeat the pattern. I'm going to go ahead, repeat this pattern until I have 11 stitches at the end of my row. Then I'll see you guys back once I am all done. Now I just finished working at this cabling until I had 11 stitches at the end of my row. I'm just going to single crochet into each stitch all the way down. And then I'll just chain 1 and turn. So moving on to row 6, this is going to be another easy single crochet row. Just beginning into this first stitch, I'll just single crochet into each stitch all the way down and then just chain 1 and turn. You should keep in mind that every other row we will just work 1 regular single crochet row, and then the next row we will do a cable stitch row, so a single crochet row and then a cable stitch row. But I'll just go ahead, work up this single crochet row, and then I'll see you guys back for the next cable stitch row. So after row 6 with our single crochets, we're now going to do our last row, which is row 7 with our final cable stitch row. So to get started on row 7, we're first going to do those 13 single crochets. And after those 13 single crochets, we're now going to do our cabling. So this time, we're going to work 2 front post double crochets into these first 2 posts. So we're not going to skip any, we're just going to work 2 regular front post doubles. And then after that, we are going to skip these next 2 posts, and into these next 2 posts, so the 5th and 6th post, we will do 2 front post trebles. So I'm going to yarn over twice and then just skip and work 2 front post trebles. So that's 1, and then here is 2. There we go. Now we're going to go back, and into these first 2 skip posts we will work 2 front post trebles once again. So I'm going to yarn over twice, Then now into this first skipped post, I'll just insert my hook right behind there, and then just 2, 2, and then 2, just like this. Then into the second skipped post, and then just crisscross once again, and that's how it should be looking. Now 2 single crochets, and then just repeat this cable stitch pattern, 2 single crochets all the way down until you have 11 stitches at the end of your row. But as usual, I'm going to show you guys how to do this one more time. So into the first 2 posts, work 2 front post doubles. That's 1. Then here is my second one. Now we're going to skip the next 2 stitches, so these 2 right here. Then into the 5th and 6th post, front post treble. This is my first front post treble. And then also into the last post, that 6th post right there. Once you have this, we're now going to go back into this first skipped post, and then once again do 2 front post trebles. I'm going to yarn over twice, insert my hook, and then just work that front post treble. Then also into the next skipped post, work another front post treble. There we go. And that is what your cabling should look like. Just single crochet twice. And now just repeat this pattern until you have 11 stitches at the end of your row. And so I just finished up working all of that cabling until I had 11 stitches at the end of my row. As usual, I'm just going to finish up working these 11 single crochet. And then just chain and turn your work. So to continue this pattern for our front panel, you just want to repeat rows 4 through 7, and you want to do that until you have a total of 52 rows in total. So I will go ahead, work up my 52 rows, and then I'm going to see you guys back once I am all done. So now we're going to be moving on to the shoulder strap. This is going to be a very simple pattern here. So I have already chained one and turned my work. And now beginning into this first stitch, we are going to work single crochets into 11 stitches across our row. Once you have finished working up these 11 stitches, into the next 2 stitches, we are going to work our first single crochet decrease. To work a single crochet decrease, I'm going to insert my hook, yarn over, pull up a loop. Now into this next stitch, I'm going to insert my hook, pull up another loop. Then I'm just going to yarn over and pull through all 3 loops. And that is the end of our first decrease row. I'll just chain 1 and turn my work. Moving on to row 2, we're not going to do a decrease this row. So just beginning into this first stitch, we are going to work single crochets into each stitch across our row, then just chain and turn. And then I'll just chain and turn my work. Moving on to row 3, we are basically going to do the same thing that we did for row 1. Into this first stitch, we are going to single crochet into each stitch all the way across until we have 2 stitches at the end of our row remaining. Once we have those 2 stitches at the end, I'm going to show you guys how to do another decrease. And then once you have these 2 stitches, to do a decrease, I'm going to insert my hook, pull up a loop, insert my hook into that last stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through all 3 of those loops, and then just chain and turn your work. Now to continue this pattern for our first shoulder strap, you want to repeat row 2 and row 3. Remember, row 3 is our decrease row, and so you have a total of 7 rows in total. So I'm going to go ahead and work up my decrease rows, and then I'll see you guys back once I am all done. So I have just finished working my 7 rows. As you guys can see, this is where we did those decreases, and then the other side should have stayed a nice clean straight edge. Then I did go ahead, cut and fasten off once I reached the end of my work. So now that we have our first shoulder strap all done, we're now going to move on to our second shoulder strap, which is basically going to be the same exact thing, but let's go ahead and move on with those steps. So for our second shoulder strap, over here I have my hook. And now beginning from this first unworked stitch, we are going to be counting 31 stitches across our work. So I already did that. And then once you reach this 31st stitch, you just want to insert your hook into that next stitch, which is going to be the 32nd stitch, just like this. Then once you have inserted your hook, we're now just going to yarn over, pull through everything. That's a slip knot. Now beginning on row 1, into this very first stitch, we are going to work our first decrease. So I'm just going to insert my hook, pull up a loop, into the next stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through all 3, and then we're just going to single crochet into each stitch across. Chain and turn your work. Now moving on to row 2, this is not going to be a decrease row. So just beginning into this first stitch, I'll just single crochet into each stitch across. And then just chain 1 and turn as you normally would. Moving on to our last decrease row. Into this first stitch, we will work our single crochet decrease. And then just single crochet into each stitch across. And then once you reach the end of row 3, we're going to do pretty much the same thing that we did for our first shoulder strap. You just want to repeat row 2 and row 3, remembering that row 3 is a decrease row. You want to do that until you have 7 rows in total. So I'm just going to work up my rows, and then I'll see you guys back once I am all done. So I have now finished up working our first and second shoulder strap, and that is going to be the end of our front bodice. So now once you have one bodice all done, you do want to repeat this a second time, which I have already done over here. And so we did nothing different, it is the same exact thing, and they match up perfectly. So now that we have both of our bodices, we're now just going to set these 2 pieces aside, and then we're going to get started on working these sleeves. So let's go ahead and continue with those steps. So to get started on the sleeves, I just have our regular yarn with my 5.5mm hook. I'm just going to make a slip knot as usual. And then we're going to begin this pattern with a chain of 43. Once you have finished up working at that chain of 43, beginning on row 1, we're going to skip this first chain, and inserting our hook into the second chain, we are just going to work single crochets. And then I'll just work these single crochets, and I'll see you guys back once I have reached the end. And so once you have finished these single crochets coming all the way down your chain, we're just going to chain 1 and turn our work. Now from row 2 to row 5, we are just going to work regular single crochet rows, and then on row 6 I'm going to show you guys how to do that decrease row. But from here, row 2 to row 5, starting into this first stitch, single crochet into each stitch all the way down your work. Then once you reach the end, chain 1 and turn your work. So I'll just quickly finish up 4 more rows and then I'll see you guys back. And so I just completed working those 5 regular single crochet rows, nothing fancy at all. And then now we're going to be moving on to our actual decrease row, which is row 6. So for this decrease row, I have already chained and turned my work. And now into this very first stitch, we are going to work a single crochet decrease. So once again, insert your hook, pull up a loop, insert your hook into that next stitch, pull up a loop, and then just yarn over, pull all 3 loops. And then now just from here, you want to work those regular single crochets into each stitch all the way across your work until 2 stitches at the end of your row remain. Now into the last 2 stitches of your row, we're going to do another single crochet decrease, and then just chain and turn. Now to continue this pattern for your sleeve, you just want to repeat row 1 through row 6 until you have a total of 60 rows for your sleeve, or you can make this however long you would like. But basically you should just be doing a decrease every 6 row, and that is pretty much all there is to the sleeve. Just work 5 single crochet rows and then decrease that 6th row. Do it until you have 60 rows in total. So I'm going to go ahead, work up my sleeves, and then I'm going to see you guys back once I am all done. Okay guys, this is what my sleeve is looking like after 60 rows. After I finished all of my work, I cut and fastened off as you normally would. And this is 60 rows, doing a decrease row every 6th row. And then of course, once you have one sleeve, you do want to repeat this process a second time for both of our sleeves. It is the same exact process, just like this. And then now that we have both of our sleeves, we're now going to move on to working the borders, which will be the next part of this video. So now let's go ahead and get started on the borders. So now we're going to get started on working our borders. For this pattern, you're only going to need 3 borders. So these are going to be our 2 cuffs, and then this long one is going to be our collar. And they are worked up in the same exact way. The only difference is that the 2 sleeves will be, or the 2 cuffs will have 19 rows in total, and then our long collar will have 48 rows in total. And so I'm just going to show you guys how to work a sample of this border because they are exactly the same, it's just the row count will be different. So just to show you guys a sample of this, I just grabbed any kind of yarn, and you do want to make sure that you have changed your 5.5mm hook out for a 4.5mm hook. And then to make this, we're going to do a slip knot as usual. Once you have finished this slip knot, we're going to do a chain of 8. When you have finished your chain of 8, beginning into the second chain from our hook, we will work half double crochets into each chain across. To work a half double crochet, you just want to yarn over, then just insert your hook into that chain, yarn over, pull up a loop, and then just yarn over, pull through all 3 loops. Doing this again, yarn over, insert your hook into that next chain, pull up a loop, and then yarn over, pull through all 3 loops. Then keep on doing this into these 7 chains. And then once you reach the end of row 1, just chain 1 and turn your work. Moving on to row 2, which will be our repeat row. Beginning into this first stitch, we're going to work 1 regular half double crochet. And then now into each stitch across until 1 stitch remains at the end, we will work back bar our back loop half double crochets. To work a back loop half double crochet, we're going to yarn over. Now instead of inserting our hook into both of these loops as you normally would, we are only going to insert our hook into this back loop or that back bar, just like this. Yarn over, pull up a loop, then yarn over, pull through all 3. Doing this back bar half double crochet again, I'm going to yarn over, and only inserting my hook into that back loop, I'll just pull up a loop and then pull through 3. Then you just want to work this into each stitch across until 1 stitch at the end remains, and I'm almost there. And then into the very last stitch, we will work 1 regular half double crochet, so going through both of those loops. And then just finishing off row 2, chain 1 and turn your work. And these back bar or back loop half double crochets are going to make this really pretty ribbed pattern for our border. And basically all you want to do here is just repeat working row 2 with these back bar half double crochets until you have 19 rows in total for both of your cuffs, and then 48 rows total for your collar. Then once you have all 3 of your borders, we're now going to move on to the last part of this video, which is going to be the assembly. So let's go ahead and get started with that. So now that we have all of our pieces all crocheted, we're now just going to work on whip stitching everything together. So over here I have my sleeve and then I have my cuff. And now we're just going to whip stitch our cuff to our sleeve, coming all the way across here. And I just wanted to show you guys how we're going to be whip stitching. So I have my large tapestry needle, and with this large tapestry needle, I'm going to insert my hook into that back loop, and then into the back loop of that next stitch, and then just pull it straight through. Doing this again, I'm going to insert my hook into the next back loop, then into the back loop of the next stitch, and then just pull straight through. And then you just want to do this all the way across your sleeves until the end of your work, and then I'll see you guys back once I reach the end. Now, as you guys can see, I have just finished attaching my cuff to my sleeve, and this is what it looks like, right side up. And then now that we have finished attaching our cuff, all you want to do from here is just fold your sleeve in half. And then now we're going to whip stitch all the way along our sleeves until the end of our work. And then I'm going to go across all the way here, and then I'm going to see you guys back once I am all done. And so I just finished up whip stitching my sleeve. I folded it in half horizontally, and then I went all the way down this edge, and now this is what my sleeve is looking like. From here, we're going to now whip stitch our bodice. So starting into this very bottom corner, we're going to whip stitch all the way up until you make it 6.5 inches from the top remaining. And that 6.5 inches from the top will leave room for our armhole. Just grabbing my ruler here, I'm just going to go all the way up here until I reach that 6.5 mark, and then I'm going to stop. Then once you have that gap remaining, you can then just continue on placing your sleeve right beside here, and then attaching your sleeve, coming all the way around, and that'll be all you guys are going to do. So on this side, I have already attached my sleeve, just like this, went all the way around. Looks really good. Then now I'm going to go ahead and work on the opposite side, and then I'll see you guys back once I am all done. As you guys can see, I've just finished whip stitching my sleeves to my bodice, and something that I forgot to mention in the last clip was that you also just want to whip stitch together these two small shoulder straps on both sides. I forgot to mention that in the last clip, but you do need to do that. Now the last thing that we're going to attach to our sweater is of course our collar. So I'm just going to loop this around. Then you just want to place this right next to the head hole. Then all you want to do is just whip stitch all the way around the collar, cut and fasten off, and then that'll be the end of our project. So I'll just quickly work this up and then I'll see you guys back to continue. Alright guys, I have made it back here with my finished sweater. I just finished up working all the way around my head hole to attach the collar to my bodice. And then once I was done seaming our cuffs, our sleeves, our sides, our shoulder straps, and our collar, I just flipped our entire work backside out so that the good side is now facing us. That is basically the end of this tutorial. The last thing you will need to do is just weave in all of your loose ends to finish, but that is basically the end of this video. I hope you guys enjoyed and found this helpful, and then I hope to see you guys back next time. Bye! If you guys enjoyed this video and found it helpful, please consider liking and subscribing to my channel. If you guys bought this pattern, it would be super helpful if you left a positive review. But that's all. Bye!